question before the House today is not whether you like mixed martial arts, are a fan of boxing, or are generally a sports enthusiast. The question is whether combative sports will be regulated in New York State and whether we can provide an environment where those who choose to participate are as well protected as we can possibly make them.
I strongly oppose this legislation of New York lifting the ban on professional human cage fighting and, in effect, sanctioning violence for profit.
Throwing two people in a cage, firstly, as an African American, we've been in cages fighting on the plantations and other places, and people let us fight off each other's ears and do all kinds of things until they regulated that and made it something different.
You have two nearly naked hot men rolling around on top of one another, trying to dominate each other. And just in case you don't know, that's gay porn with a different ending, okay?
HBO Real Sports had a program, and it talked about, and actually I'm reading from an MMA site, so I would think that this is probably a fairly accurate description of the program, how there's a disproportionate rate of domestic violence in MMA.
That I certainly judge no member here who votes yes, because we fight here. It's a combat, right? But I'm also not afraid to cast my vote in the negative, nor will I have it suggested that this is a sport when I can open up my dopey phone that I don't even know how to use and Google the word domestic violence, find from an HBO study that there's more domestic violence in this sport than in any other, including the NFL.
Think about for a second if you grew up in athletics and you trained hard and you were able to, through just pure hard work, rise to the top of your profession, something that's the largest, probably fastest, one of the fastest growing sports in the world, and you got to the top of that mountain, the top of your profession, and people said, you're not allowed to conduct your profession in your home state. Well, there's a MMA athlete named Chris Weidman from Long Island, and he asked, what's going on? Why can't I fight in New York State? And you know what? I had a hard time really giving him an answer.
I've heard my colleagues talk about self-defense and domestic violence. Domestic violence would decrease if more women or men were trained in self-defense.
I find it maybe a little disingenuous, or maybe it might not be the best word, but it's something just doesn't sit well with me to say that voting for this is supporting domestic violence, or to say that voting for this is promoting senseless violence. Because the very definition of sports is to learn a skill and to be able to control it through the rules and regulations of that sport. Sports allow you to respect your opponent. That's why every match ends with those opponents shaking hands and hugging one another and thanking each other. And I hate that I have to bring this up, but I cannot sit here and let it go unsaid. But the fact of the matter is this: there have been plenty of bills that have been discussed in this chamber and championed, and there are those that have been celebrated across the country, where the influence of money, and there's a conversation to be had about the influence of money in government. But let's be real about this, because it's not fair to those from my district who are watching to have heard that if you vote for this, somehow you have had a conversation with somebody who's pouring resources into this. When in fact, every bill we do has somebody on both sides trying to influence whatever the outcome is. But the fact of the matter is that while money may influence politics and policy, I have no idea if anybody on either side of this has ever contributed to my campaign. And I got to make it very uber clear to anybody watching from my district or to any law enforcement agency, I don't care who it is. I don't know where people are on this side of the issues that relates to me. I know where I am, because for the very reason that I am against senseless violence, and I would rather have people channel it appropriately, for the very reason that I'm concerned about brain damage and health impacts, and I want regulations to prevent it from getting out of hand or to stop somebody who shouldn't be fighting anymore. Those are the same reasons that I'm supporting this. And I don't care where the money of this is. And I think it's inappropriate that that had to come up in this conversation. Because there have been other issues where not only money was thrown around, but state leaders very openly said they would support those who supported a particular issue. So I just want to make it clear, I don't care and I don't know who supports this or not. I care about the kids in my community, and I care about a sport that deserves its place, and I care about New York State regulating and preventing the unfortunate from happening, and we could only do that through the regulations afforded here. So I will be voting in the affirmative.
Are there any other votes? Announce the results.
Ayes 113, noes 25.
The bill has passed.